In the news tonight, U.S. defense actions lays blame on Afghan leaders. Fijians wait to leave chaos. And healthcare workers face vaccine challenges.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Naka Fiji. First up tonight, U.S. President Joe Biden has today defended the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. He instead blamed Taliban's takeover on Afghan's political leaders who fled the country and the unwillingness of the Afghan army to fight the militant group. The Taliban originally drew their members from former Afghan resistance fighters called Mujahideen, who were supported by the United States in their fight against Soviet forces in the 1980s. Now, it's a totally different ballgame. Meanwhile, 13 Fijians based in the Afghan capital of Kabul are expected to be evacuated to Kazakhstan after Taliban forces took over the country. This has been confirmed to FBC News by Suva resident Elizabeth Fong, who spoke to her sister, Margaret Reed Rounds, in Kabul this morning.
That gives us great comfort, and the greatest comfort will be when she says, I'm going to the airport in a convoy and I'm on the plane and I'm out of there. I think that'll be the biggest comfort. But for now, it's good to know, it gives us peace of mind that plans are to get them out.
Social Democratic Liberal Party member Nico Nawaikula is to return as a Member of Parliament. The Court of Disputed Returns has this afternoon ruled that Nawaikula must also be reinstated in the National Register of Voters. Nawaikula had challenged the validity of his seat being declared vacant by the Speaker of Parliament. Supervisor of Elections Muhammad Sanim had removed Nawaikula from the Register of Voters last month, which by law removed his right to be a member in Parliament. Nawaikula's name on his birth certificate is Nicolau Tuingamea, but he told Parliament this year that he instead used Nico Nawaikula to register as a voter. And Apanisa Wangai has been following the story and joins us live now. Apanisa, what else was said in the ruling today?
Edwin, Chief Justice Kamal Kumar, while making null and void the decision of the Supervisor of Elections, says Nico Nawaikula has provided evidence that in many instances, including in his driving license, he has been using his common name, which is Nico Nawaikula. He says the Supervisor of Election has used excessive power, and in this case, it should be deemed as a general mistake. He also stated that having gone through the Electoral Voter Registration Act, there is no legal requirement for Nawaikula to provide his name that is on his birth certificate. Justice Kumar adds that it was never mandatory for anyone who registers to vote to use the name that is on his or her birth certificate until last year, when amendments was made, ending that the Supervisor of Election should, who is to implement the law, is also needed to align to it. The Chief Justice has ruled that the Supervisor of Election has been disproportionate the idea or the decision in removing Nawaikula from the National Register of Voters. He ordered that the Supervisor of Election inform the Speaker of Parliament to reinstate Nico Nawaikula back as a Member of Parliament. He has also acknowledged that the Speaker of Parliament was only acting on the decision or what was said to him by the Supervisor of Election, which is to remove him from Parliament and vacating his seat last month. Edwin.
Naka Panisa. Police and health authorities in the Northern Division have sealed off Nawaikula in Bua, which has now become a containment zone. 4 checkpoints have been erected to restrict movement, with decontamination conducted on all vehicles entering and exiting the containment zone. Eleanor Turangaivu has more.
The implementation of checkpoints and restriction of movement into Nawaikula has come as a surprise to many who were turned away from this police checkpoint at Namulamulo.
No, we didn't know about the movement restriction.
This carrier from Nawada village in Bua was refused entry as only essential services are being allowed into the containment area.
We came today for 2 things, to buy fuel and ice in Nawaikula, but we have been stopped by the police.
The protocols in place means villagers in the province cannot access shops and post office services and will have to look for alternative places to go to over the next 14 days.
I run a fish selling business in Dama and I came today to buy some ice from Nawaikula, but we've been told we cannot go anywhere further from here.
The containment area extends from Rarale Wivake to Wainisebu and along the coast of Nawaikula village. There are 2 checkpoints within the containment area and 2 more outside of the containment area that act as buffer points. Eleanor Turangaiviu, FBC News.
Healthcare workers have raised concerns about challenges they face because of social media-based misinformation on COVID-19 vaccines. Minister for Health Dr. Ifiremi Wangainambete says one of the consequences is that Fijians are not coming forward to get the second jab. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Minister for Health says when workers go into communities, they face hesitation and denial from people who do not want to get the vaccine.
We are going out into the community, they're going out into the middle of Naitasiri, in Taylor North, even in Nabosa. And they're saying, see this healthcare worker, see this person, this keyboard warrior has written this about the vaccine, he has written this, if this doesn't work, that's why we don't want to be vaccinated.
Over the past few months, the ministry has seen a spike in misinformation and individuals posing as experts, providing incorrect information. And this has resulted in a change of mind for even those who previously would take the vaccine.
We are concerned that people are inclined to resist the vaccine and will cling to this misinformation or even misconstrue facts that are reported correctly, threatening the efforts of our teams.
Vaccination Task Force head Dr. Rachel Devi says, so far 36.8% of the Fijians are fully vaccinated. However, misinformation remains a major challenge for them.
Teams are still pursuing to do this vaccination rollout. So it's just the owners and individuals coming forth and we're available there for the vaccination drive.
Dr. Wangainambete says anti-vaxxers should not be provided with a platform to spread misinformation. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Now to our COVID-19 update for tonight. Fiji recorded 350 new infections for the period ending 8 a.m. yesterday. 242 cases are from the Western Division and 108 from the Central. The Health Ministry also recorded 23 new COVID-19 deaths between August 11th and 15th. 20 were from the Western Division and 3 deaths were from the Central Division. Fiji has recorded 40,517 cases since April this year. There are now 22,494 active cases in isolation with 17,491 recoveries. The COVID-19 death toll stands at 394. The vaccination campaign continues. As of yesterday, 533,721 people, or 91% of the population, have received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. 211,420 people, or 36%, have received the second. The 5 most vaccinated areas include Mba, Rewa, Nanunga and Naitasiri, which have now achieved 100% of the first jab. Next is Nandi. And Shahil Shiulal from Lodhia Street in Nandi town is fully vaccinated. Up ahead, hemp research targets specifics. And West cane farmers receive praise. Welcome back. Sigatoka is slowly climbing the ladder to dominate the number of COVID-19 deaths recorded in the Western Division, with confirmation of 20 deaths in the Western Division between the 11th to the 15th. A good number have emanated from Sigatoka. Josiah Nanunga reports.
With COVID positive and death cases escalating in the greater Sigatoka area, the Narunga Provincial Office is beefing up its collaboration with the Health Ministry to ensure all the targeted population are fully vaccinated.
We have so far witnessed COVID-19 deaths in our villages, especially with our elderly age group, and most are not vaccinated. To all our Turan Koran maternity, please ensure that we do a final check on our villages to ascertain this and relay a message over if needed the mobile vaccination team can do our visitation.
Health Minister Dr. Iferemi Wanganembete says people ignoring the jab has attributed to the death cases, as most of those who have succumbed to the virus were either not vaccinated or had just received their first dose.
Some villages up in Nawaikula was not able to have a lot of vaccinations in the initial vaccination. And to some extent, the way that I got back from my family that are there is the work of anti-vaxxers that they heard. And this is actually worked against people. It's quite disappointing.
To date, the Health Ministry has recorded 394 COVID death cases, with 369 of these deaths recorded during the outbreak that started in April this year. Jose Nunga, FBC News.
The government's research into industrial hemp is not looking at plants that have a high level of tetrahydrocannabinol or THC, which makes people high. Minister for Economy, Sayed Qayyum, has informed Parliament that a state-funded study will not include hemp that can be used as a drug. There are also existing laws which make hemp farming illegal. The government hopes the research will provide answers to Fiji's current illegal trade and cultivation of marijuana.
We wanted to replace the illicit agriculture sector, but we have to look at, for example, also the laws, Mr. Speaker, because currently our legislative framework, which is the Illicit Drugs Control Act, has a very wide coverage of cannabis, what we call cannabis. So you'll get caught. If you want to even have, for example, if you want to even grow hemp that's got very low levels of THC, it'll still be illegal.
Industrial hemp is more about value-added products such as food, fiber, textiles, and at least 25,000 other uses.
THC or tetrahydrocannabinol is what measures that gives you the high. So the lower the content, the more of an industrial hemp it is. And therefore, that's the space that we want to get into.
Sayed Qayyum says the study will be holistic, giving proper guidance on the way forward.
In order to be able to look at, where is the best place to plant industrial hemp, when we should plant it, we need to look at, for example, the markets, who will buy it, where we can sell it. You have to look at the climate and soil requirement.
Industrial hemp has a global trade value of about $900 million annually. The Ministry of Forestry is focused on fulfilling its role in the economy by increasing business opportunities, increasing revenue for landowners, and creating new jobs. This was highlighted in Parliament by Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama while providing an update on the forestry sector. Koroi Tandulala reports.
The Prime Minister says they are ensuring that land-owning units receive their dividends despite the current COVID-19 pandemic.
Despite the challenges of COVID-19, the group continued to pay dividends to the pine landowners. This year, Mr. Speaker, the landowners will receive another $6 million, making it a total of $30.6 million. This $6 million will be paid despite the economic slowdown. First installment of $2 million was made in April. The second installment of another $2 million will be made this week on Thursday, 19 August. And the final payment of $2 million will be made in November.
Bainimarama adds that the sector continues to explore and secure new markets for its mahogany commodities.
Fiji Hardwood Corporation Limited is working with its partners to double the harvesting and exports this year. While all sectors have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, Investment Fiji reports that Fijian mahogany products were among the few of Fiji's top export commodities to continue to find welcoming markets.
We need improvements all over, in the forest, in the mills, in the processing centers, exporting areas, to improve those areas in rural speakers. It is very important.
The Prime Minister says the Ministry of Forestry aims to achieve optimum result while monitoring operations to ensure natural resources are sustainably managed. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
Cane farmers in the Western Division have been praised for adhering to the strict COVID-19 protocols during the crushing season. Despite the trying times due to the pandemic, growers have also been making sure they supply cane to their respective mills. Felipe Naikaso has more.
Cane farmers in the West are being proactive about the current situation stressing to lorry drivers and cutters the importance of abiding by the safety measures.
Mask, everything, no gathering like that, no, we're not drinking grog before the farmers. No cane cutters, they cut the cane and drink the grog. Right now it's not like that.
With the number of COVID-19 cases also increasing in the West, the message has been the same from day one, and that is to get vaccinated. And also a majority of those in the industry have been fully vaccinated.
And I also urge all the sugarcane farmers to get vaccinated because people cutting cane, like they are in groups, in numbers. So if all the sugarcane farmers too get vaccinated, so it will be very good.
We have been educating a lot of people around the importance of staying within the bubbles, not entertaining visitors even when the borders are open. We are all doing that.
The FSC, like many, are being affected by COVID, as a few key members of the operations team are currently in isolation. Philippa Naikaso, FBC News.
The number of tourism operators signing up for Tourism Fiji's Care Fiji Commitment Program continues to increase as the industry gears up to reopen later this year. The CFC is a COVID-safe framework administered by Tourism Fiji, which sets out enhanced on-site standards of safety and health protocols. Tourism Fiji Chief Executive Brent Hill says they are encouraged by the increasing sign-ups. Hill says in the last 2 weeks alone, 28 properties have had 100% of their eligible team members fully vaccinated and now have access to the CFC vaccine toolkit and resources. He adds this speaks volumes of the commitment by operators, signaling the industry is ready for visitors. Hill says Fiji's intensive nationwide vaccination effort has boosted the confidence, of the industry stakeholders. Digicel Fiji launched its customer loyalty program called Digicel Rewards. Digicel Rewards is a loyalty program that allows customers to redeem data bundle, mobile phones and accessories, whereby customers will be able to upgrade to better devices or add to the existing user experience. The loyalty program also extends to Sky Pacific and unwired customers who can earn points. Digicel Fiji Chief Executive Farid Mohammed says for the last 13 years, Digicel has provided the best products and services to customers across the country. Mohammed says as customers' expectations continue to evolve, they are focused on delivering benefits that are important to them. Here, the local exchange rates are set early this morning. The Fiji Sangamoli again having a mixed day on the stock exchange front. We lost ground against the Chinese yuan, USD, Kina, Euro and the yen. Prices were mixed on the commodities market. Crude oil continued to drop to close at $67.22 a barrel. Gold rose around $7 to $1,788 per ounce. And silver was up at $23.83 per ounce. And we now join Sharon from HFC Bank to give us the latest figures from the money market.
Good evening. The US dollar posted uneven gains against high-yielding rivals. However, it edged lower against safe haven currencies as risk aversion dominated financial markets. Poor Chinese data, tensions in the Middle East, the spread of the Delta coronavirus variant in the US, and soft macroeconomic data were behind the sour mood. With scarce macroeconomic calendar, the focus will now be on US retail sales numbers coming out tomorrow. A dismal number could further spur risk aversion. Also, the release of the Federal Reserve minutes this week will be key to the short-term outlook for the greenback, especially if it confirms more policymakers are leaning towards tapering its bond purchase plan by the end of the year. Elsewhere, the Aussie dollar was down 0.6%, while the Kiwi dollar fell 0.4% against the greenback. Next few days are all likely to be about the Reserve Bank of New Zealand interest rate decision. Market has already priced in for a rate hike, but it's a question of how big and how many hikes are projected to follow it. And we'll keep you updated on that, but for now, that's all from your HFC Bank. Thank you.
The Alliance for Future Generation have launched a competition to encourage backyard farming. The program aims to assist hundreds of youth begin their own backyard farming. Cristiano Luai reports.
AFG celebrated this year's International Youth Day by launching an initiative to help young people address food security.
identify some of the innovative ways of doing farming. So we want to see that highlighted, how young people are able to mix together the Western science or innovation together with indigenous knowledge and traditional practices of farming.
$3,000 cash prizes, seedlings, farming tools and training will be at the disposal of successful applicants.
Backyard gardening can be relaxing. It can soothe you if you're busy, if you dedicate your time to it. And also if you need a coping strategy, or you need a daily source of income, or if you need something to take your mind off your depressive thoughts.
AFG has received more than 100 applications so far, and the application closes on September 3rd. Christiana Uluai, FBC News.
And that is the latest from my end, but coming up after the break, climate bill set to tabling in Parliament. Stay with us.
Welcome back. The climate change bill is expected to be tabled in Parliament this week. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has told the House the bill has gone through rigorous consultation and is ready to be debated and subsequently passed into law. He adds the government intends to have the act in effect before the 26th United Nations Conference on Climate Change in November. Bainimarama adds all government strategies are now mindful of climate change.
The rapid rise in sea levels and the resulting saltwater intrusion that stems from the increased ferocity of coastal floods have made portions of our island nation uninhabitable. The Fijian government is ensuring that it embeds climate change mitigation and adaptation, as well as resilience initiatives are embedded in all its national and sectoral plans.
16% of primary schools and 52% of secondary schools are engaged in some form of online learning. Minister for Education Rosie Akbar says when schools closed in April, the ministry rolled out a number of initiatives to ensure that some form of learning continued. Akbar says the ministry developed supplementary learning materials in the form of worksheets for the first week of the school closure. These were then set up online and teachers would prepare and deliver, or parents would pick up worksheets from schools for those students who could not access worksheets online. The Education Minister also highlights that in regular meetings with heads of schools, they shared that teachers are making every effort to ensure that materials reach students. Teachers are even using the assistance of Turangani Koros.
In the Yasawas, 8 out of 13 school heads and many teachers are stranded on the mainland. Each week they prepare and print the learning materials and send them to the islands in fiber boats. The school community and village headmen distribute these to the students, and families help students complete their work and return this by the same boat to the head of schools. And we hope this will continue for as long as schools are closed.
Fiji First candidate Sachida Nand has this morning been sworn into Parliament. Nand has taken up the vacant seat left by former Women's Minister Mereseni Vuniwanga. Nand secured 472 votes in the 2018 general election and is the former chief executive of the Fiji Cooperative Dairy Limited. In his maiden speech, Nand highlighted the 2021-2022 national budget is one of the best in light of the global pandemic. He acknowledged his new role in Parliament and urged MPs to work together to help rebuild a suffering economy. And now it's time to join Jamie for the latest in sports.
Vinaka, and good evening in sports tonight. Golden try for Olympian. And concerns over missing Silktails player. This and more coming up. Fiji Sevens gold medalist Chuta Wainingolo tied the knot with partner Fiona Wele Lekemba today. The couple were married in front of friends and family in Wainingolo's hometown, Navua. Karlaini Tavi reports.
Chuta Wainingolo fell in love with Fiona because she saw him for who he was and not as a rugby star.
When we met Fiona, I didn't know that was a rugby player. Doesn't see me as a rugby player. Just see me like normal Chuta Wainingolo.
The Run native is looking forward to starting his new life with his wife.
I'm very blessed to have Fiona in my life. Looking forward to the journey and to start a new chapter of our life.
For the stunning bride Fiona, she is feeling a sense of relief to finally marry the love of her life.
Super happy. We've waited quite a long time for this moment, so it's a relief and it's good to finally get it done.
The couple are planning to move to France together, where Chuta will be playing for French top 14 club Toulon. Karlini Tavi, FBC Sports.
Getting a national sevens team fit and ready to win back-to-back Olympic gold medals isn't as simple as having the perfect training programs mapped out. For the Fiji men's sevens strength and conditioning coach Nathanieli Mbuka, getting the players to believe in the end result and keeping them focused on their goals was a key part of the process. Aquila reports.
Switching the players' mindsets was something the Mbuka had to do before winning gold in Tokyo.
You can have the best physical conditioning programming, but if they don't want to do it, if they are not motivated, if they can't see far enough, if they can't see the vision, you can't sell your program. It's a buy and sell thing here, in this environment. And you have to be a person or coach who is able to reason with the players and explain to them the journey so that they can buy in. At the end of the day, you're not the one on the field, it's them.
Once the mindset is switched on, everything else will slowly fall into place.
And you cannot deliver what you don't have. And so, it demands work capacities. It demands robustness and durability. And you have to take the body to a real dark place in order to get there, to the highest podium.
The men's Olympic journey is slightly different to what the Fijiana coaching team had to go through.
Us, when the girls come into the national squad, we have to occupy our time and utilize most of our time coaching the core skills, that is coach on the base work from the men's side. It's a big challenge for us.
The Fijiana will be out of quarantine in Nandi next weekend. Aquila Dhama, FBC Sports.
The Kaiviti Silktails returned home last week from Australia without one of its players. Senta Tomasi Vunidangi was reported missing. The Eastern Beaches Police Area Command on Wednesday, August 11th, when he failed to meet with friends and has not been heard from since. Police and family hold concerns for his welfare due to the disappearance being out of character. According to police, the 28-year-old was last seen at about 5 p.m. on Tuesday, August 10th. He was part of the Kaiviti Silktail squad that competed in the Round Massey Cup in Sydney under the New South Wales Rugby League competition. Emotional and psychological support from athletes around the world at the Olympic Games was something that caught the attention of Fiji Olympian Cheyenne Roba. Speaking to FBC Sports, Roba says despite the pandemic and the effects it had on swimmers, she was glad to share moments with others. Venina Rakautonga has more.
Cheyenne Rova counts herself blessed to be able to experience the true spirit of the Olympics.
So I think everyone was in the same boat, but everyone continued to encourage each other and push each other. And I think that's, it just really showed the Olympic spirit and the friendship and excellence and everyone just being, so courageous in the face of adversity.
The 26-year-old says she knew what to expect in a competition of that level.
These games or this competition, I was a lot more mentally prepared. And I think that mental preparation is huge and it plays a huge part. So I think just, being balanced, both mentally and physically, because for this meet, preparations didn't go as I hoped.
Fesenok Chief Executive Lorraine Ma says the resilience athletes showed was one for the books.
It was a huge achievement on the part of the International Olympic Committee and the organizing committee for the Olympic Games to actually pull this off in a state of emergency, no less, in Tokyo. And I think that's what will be remembered by everyone, that this was an Olympic Games like no other Olympic Games.
As one chapter closes, Rova now looks forward to the FINA Swimming World Cup in Doha. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
India's world-class pace attacker pulled off an incredible heist with the bat and then a magnificent performance with the ball to decimate England by 151 runs in the second cricket test. That's it from sports tonight, but coming up in Weird and Wonderful, take a look at the wife-carrying contest. Find out more after the break.
Showers were experienced over the northern, eastern and central divisions. Mainly fine weather prevailed elsewhere. To the west, nice conditions with a mixture of sun and clouds. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, mostly cloudy and breezy with intervals of showers. In the northern division, mostly cloudy and cool. The places we are checking out tonight are Ba, Tavua and Savu Savu. The humidity in these areas were in the upper 60s. At sea, rough seas becoming moderate to rough from tomorrow. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 2:37 tomorrow morning with low tide at 8:47 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:24. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with some showers over the southeastern parts and interior of the larger islands. Lau and Lomaiviti group fine apart from light isolated showers in the afternoon elsewhere. Cool at night. And the outlook for Thursday, much of the cloudy and cool conditions to continue. Our shot of the day taken at Ndaku Savu Savu by Krishnal Gounder. And in Fijian Pulse, we ask, who is your favorite football player in the world and why?
Favorite football player is Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7, because he's a very humble player. He takes his mom everywhere, all the times that the mom sacrificed to help him to become the best, one of the best soccer players in the world.
Messi, because he's a great player.
My favorite football player will have to be Cristiano Ronaldo. He's such a talented player and has got very sharp skills.
And recapping our main stories, U.S. defense actions lays blame on Afghan leaders. Fijians wait to leave chaos, and healthcare workers face vaccine challenges. For these stories and others, tune in to our sister radio station Gold FM to our poll question. This week we are asking, should commercial banks relook at lending rates? Visit our FPC News website to take part and send us newsworthy pictures and videos. fpcnews@fpc.com.fj or share it with us on social media. You can also download our FPC app to keep updated with the very latest in news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.